So perhaps it's me under the spotlight today, as we have Gillan Williams, who is the founder of Clarity Video, and Gillan's expertise in delivering top-tier content solutions for SMEs is unmatched. Clarity Video stands out as a company that truly understands the unique needs of its clients, producing content that not only tells a story, but delivers results. Gillan, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you inviting me on.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us about your business journey. It would be great if you can just kick us off with sort of telling us what it is that you do at Clarity Video and what it is you're all about.
For Clarity Video, we produce corporate content, video content, and it's generally marketing collateral. It can be internal videos. Now I'm increasingly working with PR companies. They're using video a lot more. A lot of social content, essentially helping corporate entities engage with their audience, generally through storytelling, but sometimes it's event coverage. But whatever we do, we always try and use the story framework because it helps people retain things. So that's what we do. We're pretty much industry agnostic. So I say sort of corporate because we work with sole traders right up to international brands such as SMEG UK and Qatar Airways. There's some, and so it is a huge variety of clients that we work with. But yeah.
And you say a lot of companies are using video these days. I mean, you'll be a lot closer to it than I am in terms of the video content on sort of social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and stuff. Is it still like the way to go? Is it still sort of like the best way of getting your message out there?
Yes, I think it is. I think that video isn't a one-stop shop. I think it's best used as part of a wider campaign, that involves like email and SEO and such. But in terms of building an engaged audience who feel like they're becoming part of your tribe and identifying with your brand as as an ambassador potentially, that's the ultimate goal, right? Then yes, video is unparalleled. But the means to do so have become more complicated as audiences have become more advanced. I would say, it used to be that you could just throw a video up there and you can get the likes simply for having a video. Nowadays, it's much more difficult to engage an audience and retain them. But those who can do it well, they reap great rewards.
And what are the tips and tricks then to sort of delivering that content that does get the engagement?
You think about your audience. That's the number one thing. A lot of companies, they get excited about things that they've been working on because they put a lot of time and energy into it. But often, really, it's internal news. It doesn't really matter to the outside, to the external audience. So that's one thing. So always think about things from their perspective. And structure is hugely important. So with your social content, we use the 3-act structure. But slightly adjusted for social. So it's a hook, your conflict, and then your resolution. And that framework fits with pretty much any content on social. And by using that, you're tapping into storytelling, which your audience knows. It's how we communicate naturally. But also that format has become the predominant way that engaging content is created. So your audience is familiar with that structure. It's an excellent way of presenting your story in an engaging way and retaining their attention through the video. And that's important because the longer that you retain somebody on your videos, the AVD, average view duration, the more that video gets pushed. So then you get that those organic views, which are highly valuable. So the biggest advice I would have is look at things from your audience's perspective. Always be thinking about that, not your own. What's important to you is not necessarily important to them. And then follow a structure that's proven to work.
That resonates through all of your sort of mediums, doesn't it? Whether it's the website and all that sort of stuff. There are so many websites out there that we call it sort of like weeing all over the page because it's all about what we do, what I do, and things like that. Whereas actually your audience, they're not really that interested in what about you. They are interested in what problems you're fixing, what solutions you've got to their problems.
Absolutely, and it's that classic marketing phrase, isn't it? Don't sell the features, sell the benefits. But beyond that, in video, engage an emotional reaction to the benefits. because
Okay.
if they have that emotional resonance with it, then that means something to them. Marketing now is very good at showing you the benefits. It's those that can create that emotional connection.
And
That's where you win.
decisions and buy and purchases are based on emotions, aren't they? They're
Exactly. Yeah.
up by logic, but really the main driving force for a decision to purchase something is an emotional decision.
That's exactly it. So that's what we try and do, is not just shoot beautiful video,
Yeah.
but try and structure it in a way that makes it as impactful as possible.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So Clarity Video, how long have you been running now?
So Clarity Video itself has been running for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
So company was registered 3 years ago, well, 3 years ago in November. And it's been growing pretty well ever since. We've had slight ups and downs, like the beginning of this year was a little bit quiet, but we're
Yeah.
booming right now. And to go from nothing, just starting off and, with sole traders and just whatever I
Yeah.
could get, to now working with sort of international brands is fantastic. But I've been
What were you
working
doing
in,
before?
well, before this, and this is where the advantage comes in. So just prior to running my Clarity Video, I was working in brand management in the finance industry. Before that, I was a marketing manager, digital marketer, and I have a sort of long history in media production, working in radio, a small amount in TV, produced a feature film that got released internationally, which is, I think it's a theatre publishing. So, and I've been doing camera work since I was a teenager. So all of these skills have come together into Clarity, and so that's been quite an advantage, I would say.
And what made you set it up? Because there's a lot of budding entrepreneurs out there that they've got that self-sabotage going on in their heads. They've got a career, they've got a successful job, if you like, but would like to make that leap into being a business owner, but don't for whatever reasons. What was the catalyst for you to make that jump?
It was honestly a combination of reasons. One was frustration with the work that I was doing. The finance industry, a good company I was working for, but it's quite dry, so it wasn't really igniting anything in me. And then I was producing this feature hosts on the side, and I really loved being back in production.
Yeah.
And I was also frustrated with working with content creators as a brand and marketing manager. The convoluted processes we would go through to get content created, and there just seemed to be a lot of bloat, a lot of wasted time, budget.
Yeah.
And often what you got wasn't exactly what I asked for. So that was a little frustrating. And also, cliche, I had a motorcycle accident which very nearly took me out completely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was broke both my arms and my back and my, the whole thing. And so I'm lying in recovery. I'm thinking, well, what do I actually want to be doing? And
What am I
it's
doing?
not yeah, it's not necessarily brand management. I went back to that for a little while and then
Yeah.
realized, no, I definitely want to do my own thing.
Oh, good for you for making that jump. So you've been in business now for 3 years. So as a business owner, you've seen some growth and some clearly probably some challenges over the last couple of 3 years. What would you say has been your biggest challenge, and how have you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge is cash flow for new businesses. To be honest, I was reticent because I worked in media production for a long time. I didn't know what the state of the industry would be here, and what sort of level of opportunity I'd have. So I was reticent to borrow money. So maintaining cash flow was a challenge. And then to overcome that, you just have to diversify and iterate all of the time until you found something that resonated with the market, and not to get stuck in that. So this time last year, things were booming with podcasting. In podcast production, and so I sort of set the brand Clarity Podcasts, and I even had it in mind to just pivot entirely into that. Fast forward to about 6 months ago, and what's transpired is the podcasts market has become very saturated. And it's difficult for brands to build an audience cost effectively unless they're doing it internally, because the costs of production, like my costs, are often prohibitive because they're just not going to see the growth that they would like to see. And and then ultimately marketing, in whichever form, you're trying to get to as many people as you can. So if you broke it down, I think that there were other means in which they could, and it sounds like I'm sabotaging the service right now, but the reality is, if you put that much effort into building your email list, then in reality, you know, you're probably going to be reaching more people. And I think that that's become more clear. And because Clarity is a corporately sort of focused brand, I don't really do sort of consumer level things, or you know, I don't do much work with artists because that's just not what we do. That's something that I pivoted away from. So I changed the service, made it more focused for marketing managers in terms of just creating content as like a one-off project, and that has really boomed. So that's how we overcome those difficult times: is iteration, listening to what the market's telling you, and responding accordingly.
I think that's exactly those three things are exactly that's what I've just written down. You know, there's there's sometimes when we start a business, there's a temptation. It's what we want to do, so therefore we're pushing our agenda through. But if we're not listening to what the market's telling us in terms of what the market wants, then you know you push the wrong products and you cash flow is a massive issue there. So being agile, being open to what the market's sort of saying it wants, and being adaptable and changeable to flex with the market is a really good point. There's an interview I did with Phil Shadbolt. Actually, he talks about his business. Been in business for 32 years, and sort of like, wow, you've been in business for. He said, actually, I've had 5 businesses, and the same name, same company, but I've had to reinvent the wheel 5 times because I've had to change the marketplace. So just because the corporate name is one name, but having that adaptability, having the ability to change what you offer to match the marketplace is really important.
Yeah.
What about an opportunity? If you could wind the clock back and go back to that day you started and do it all again, what would you do differently? And you know, if you would do anything differently, what would it be?
I spent a lot of energy on brand.
Okay.
The brand is important, no doubt about it. And as that was my background, I thought, right, if I have a very strong brand, then it's going to be easier to attract customers. What I would have done differently is actually spend more time on product.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you have an outstanding service or product that just absolutely delivers what the client wants, then regardless of your brand, word of mouth will get you more business.
Okay.
And then you build the brand, you know, in time. But I think that I would have changed things around slightly and spend more time working on product first and being more focused on just delivering the absolute best. Customer service has always been important, but in terms of what the service was exactly, that I would have probably spent more time on that in the first year.
Again, that's an interesting point because you think of brands typically as those big companies, don't you? Like the Coca-Colas and the Nikes and all that sort of stuff. Their main focus is developing the brands, whereas small businesses actually it's advertising the product. So it's an advertising strategy to sell the product, to get the cash flow going, to build the company, because brand investment takes an awful lot of time, energy, money, and you have to, you know, reach a lot of people to build that brand. Not to say you don't have the brand can go along with it, but actually, like you say, is advertising and spending time promoting the products as opposed to trying to promote the brand.
Yes, but also having that killer product to start with, you know, that's and because you know, advertising a product that's mediocre, you just throw money away, you know. That's money that you know, it's, and that's what I really would have, that's what I would have done differently.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's going back to that market awareness and having the product that matches the market's needs and wants.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's talk about a little bit about time, because you know, running a business can be time consuming. It can take a lot of our days and things like that. And you know, everybody's got 24 hours a day. How do you manage your time and manage your priorities so you're working on the right things?
Well, it's a challenge. We have a large family, 5 boys, although one moved out last year, but there's still 4 lads at home, 2 of whom in college, and then we got the little ones too, one of whom is now homeschooled, so that's even more challenging. So my day typically looks like getting up very early, starting some work, then getting people to where they need to be, then off. If it's on a shoot, then you know that's whatever scheduled that's on. But if I'm in the studio, then I'm here as early as I can possibly be, work, and then I'm home sort of mid-afternoon, and then I'll do more work. Then when the kids are in bed, then I'll do more afterwards. And that's the advantage of that, is you get to I manage to structure my schedule around my family needs and the business needs, rather than just being stuck into a corporate structure that might not service what I need it to be. And then in terms of prioritization, a CRM. If I didn't if I didn't use, I use HubSpot, and thankfully I'd had experience using various CRMs, my previous roles in marketing and brand management. If I didn't have that experience, I just would have failed 100%. Like having tasks, having things scheduled, having deals, knowing exactly what's where, who's attached to what the deliverables are, what the timelines are. It's just absolutely essential. And then I have strict policies where if a task is complete, there is always another task to schedule. Even if the project's complete, there's a keep in touch call in 6 months' time.
Okay.
There's something else, there's remarketing.
It's a positive next step to it. And
absolutely. So that I come in the morning and, I turn the CRM, it tells me what I have to do for the day.
There's a lot of value in that, actually, because again, as humans, we tend to sort of like juggle lots of things at once, and decisions take energy, take focus, and things like that. Distractions coming up. So taking the time, which quite often people don't do, is take the time to prepare, take the time to build the systems, to build this, like you say, the CRM in the way that you want, the structure the way you want. So it means you've got more mental capacity to make decisions on important things, as opposed to trying to remember lots of to-do lists and lots of little activities to do and things like that.
Absolutely. And in terms of systems, what I wanted to do was, from the very beginning, was put systems in place as if the company was about 3-4 times bigger than it is, and to consistently do that. So that as I move forwards, people could just come in, and I can just add them into the CRM, give them set permissions, and everything is there. And then the same with invoicing. It's all systematized. And I maybe went a little overboard with it when I first started, but I wanted to have that stability and to make sure it was easy to grow. And I wouldn't get to a point where to grow would mean that I'd have to go through and create a system with 2 years of 2 years of legacy documentation to input. That sounds like an absolute nightmare. So that's been
there's a couple of subconscious points there. One is you're thinking like a bigger business from the start, so that's consciously making decisions like a bigger business in that subconscious sort of way. But then the other is the law of the vacuum. Having that sort of bigger system and bigger CRM enables you to actually, we tend to fill stuff. If you've got a garage, you tend to fill the garage. If you've got a bigger garage, you tend to fill it with more stuff.
That makes sense.
Whereas if you have it smaller, it's kind of like you fill it up, and then it doesn't grow because you've limited the space. So there's a couple of subconscious things going on there that sort of help that growth, which is really cool.
Yeah.
In terms of team, then, so clearly you've got people supporting you and stuff like that. What does the sort of bigger team look like in the day-to-day running of what you do?
Well, it's very small. So a lot of people assume that there's like at least 10, 15 people in Clarity, and that's the strength of the brand, which is very useful, because when I have larger brands coming, they assume that there's a large team behind it. But for the most part, it's me. And then freelancers. I use a couple of virtual assistants as and when I need to, but I'm quite frugal, to be honest. And I like to think I'm quite efficient. So I do have people from the film industry that I lean on if I need them. So there's photographers, videographers, and colorists that I will use. So if a project demands more than just myself, then I'll bring other team members in. But if it's a small project that I can cover myself, then I will do. And the advantage of that is my costs are less than they would be, because I don't have these huge overheads. I'm more agile because I'm not managing a large team. And because of my background in media production, I'm able to wear a lot of hats. I could do sound, I could do lighting, I could do camera, I could do the editing. And so the work is consistent. And the way things are at the moment, it's getting busy to the point where it's unsustainable. And so I will be building things out, and then having more sort of leading on more sort of regular team members. But I've been careful, certainly in the early years, to not over expand. And then be trying to chase the payroll. So that's
very good point. Sustainable growth that's manageable, that fits within your ambitions, your goals. But you're agile with a resource around you, that if you needed extra support, you've got that wider team in terms of the contacts, the freelancers and things to be able to draw on. Very good. And what about the future? So where's Clarity Video going in the future in terms of the business? What are the next steps? Where are you sort of wanting to take it?
The Clarity Video itself, I just want to expand out what we do, but offer it sort of more nationally, get
Yeah.
more clients in. As things move forward, I want to start to step away from the business in stages. So in frontline,
Okay.
I'd have I'd have staff doing that, and then I'd like to get a manager to help run things. Then sort of shift to the point of being an owner
Yeah.
more than a managing director, and that's the goal for Clarity Video. In terms of my own work, I am increasingly trying to move into commercial directing, which is like
Oh
directing
wow. Okay.
ads,
Yeah.
which then is a route into sort of television and film directing as well,
Oh
hopefully in
cool.
the future. But certainly in the near future, that's where I'm trying to run. So Clarity Video will still operate, service
Yeah.
its current clients, and grow as I build the team with that. But then personally, I'll start shifting over onto that side of things as well to feed that sort of creative output that I.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is, and it's things are moving well, so it's all looking good so far.
And what keeps you motivated? What keeps you driven doing what you're doing in that sort of entrepreneurial space and things? What gets you out of bed to sort of do what you do?
I think I'm just a naturally driven person. That sounds like such a a sort of nauseating answer, but I can't stand being static.
Okay.
Years ago, I went on a trip to Sri Lanka with friends, 6 weeks. And the last 2 weeks, I was desperate to come back.
Right. Yeah.
I can't take that much time off. It's just ridiculous. So I have a lot of energy. I like to be busy. I like to be achieving. And what I do love about this work is whenever I go and work with a client, it's a great day for them.
Yeah.
It's something novel and everyone's having a good time.
Bit of fun.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so you create that atmosphere, you get the best output you can. And then when you deliver a video that the client's delighted with, that's really motivating. Seeing the business grow, that's motivating. Supporting the family and sort of our future goals. So there's lots of sources of motivation. And I think that it gives me quite a positive forum in which to direct my energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly the conversations we've had over the last sort of 12, 18 months and on occasions we've met, they've been certainly you're very focused, you're very driven, and that passion and that energy comes across in abundance. So I'm sure the future looks fantastic for both what you're doing personally, but
Yeah,
also Clarity Video.
thank
Listen,
you
I
very
really,
much.
really thank you for coming on and sharing a bit about your business journey. Before we go, where can our listeners go to find out a bit more about what you're up to, what Clarity Video is up to? Where can we point them?
So Clarity Video, so at Clarity Video on Instagram, clarityvideo.co.uk is the website, and at Gillan Williams on Instagram as well. If you search Clarity Video,
You'll find you.
yeah, we'll come up, and on the socials too. And then at Gillan Williams, if you want to follow me, directly.
Very good. Gillan, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.